Hey, friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk to you about some music. I want to talk to you about Crocodile Rock and the way I like to explain it when I'm teaching things specifically for, well, intervals, like what's happening in this and the different types of chord progressions that are out there. I think there's a lot of fun that can be had with this song. It is the middle of the night, and my cat is running around. Everyone's asleep upstairs, and she sounds like a little horse running all over the place, and she's looking at me now. I can see her sideways looking at me. So if she comes over here to say hi, we'll just keep it in. She might actually blast over top all of this. Who knows? But today we're really going to be talking about the intervals and how intervals work to build chord progressions and how those chord progressions drive music forwards and do unexpected things for your ears. Now, we're going to be talking about this with Crocodile Rock, and today I'm using, of course, my Alvarez MDR 70. I love this guitar. And I think it's perfect for what we're doing because it's a good strummer. You can hear it, and it's nice and pretty in that way. At least I think it's nice and pretty that way. Let me see my meters over here. Yeah, it looks like it's doing all right. Okay. The next thing that we're going to talk about is like when the song came out and the anthem that it's kind of falling back on. This song is written from the perspective of the singer, which is someone looking back on their life through rose-tinted glasses. And I think it's great because I don't remember exactly when it came out because I wasn't alive then, but I remember hearing it all throughout growing up. However, the song is a pop song about rock songs from back in the day. From the perspective of the 70s-ish, when it came out, maybe late 60s, it's talking about songs in the 50s, okay? And you're going to hear a lot of that influence. I also think that the song is kind of thumbing its nose a little bit about the tropes that were taking place back in the heyday of rock. And rock was heavily influenced by, of course, blues. And so those common chord progressions of like the 1-4-5 or the 1 minor 6-4-5 are things that we are expecting to hear in this nostalgic song about when I was young, me and Susie had so much fun. Well, you don't hear that right off the bat. So Elton John, as he's composing this, he holds that chord progression at bay. And what is that chord progression? Well, that's the 1, which is a G, E minor, C, to D, so you hear that 1-6-4-5. It's also common in the C, A minor, F, and G. And the key of G and the key of C will be very important in this song because although the song is in the key of G, it's going to pick up some parallel major stuff from the 4 chord of G, G, A, B, C, and it's going to go play in C for a little while and then come back. At the end of the song, it actually will finally hit the 1 minor 6-4-5 in the G, E minor, D, C, or C, D, which will take us to where we want to hear. Our ears want to hear that real bad. But before that, it's actually going to be G, B minor, to C, to D. And if you listen to that cadence, the song is actually ascending upwards. So I think you could just as easily play it with your bar G here and actually hear it a little bit more. So when you look at it that way, there's a couple different ways to play it other than the just standard variety stuff. So let's actually talk about that with the chorus so we can actually add some of these things together to why it's so much fun. Well, I remember when rock was young. Okay, so the very first thing, I remember when rock was young. So it's talking about the 50s when it was just coming out. And it's setting the stage. Now to that B minor. Me and Susie had so much fun. Me and Susie had so much fun, okay, holding hands and skipping stones. I had an old gold Chevy, place of my own. Okay, so when I hear this is what I hear. I remember when a rock was young. Me and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skipping stones. I had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own. So what's happening right off the bat is Elton is setting up the rose-tinted glasses. I remember when I was young. Me and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skipping stones. Where are they? They're like at a park. They're out running around, skipping stones. When's the last time you skipping rocks on a lake? Back in my day, I walked up the hill both ways to go to school. Back in my day, we had belts with no pants, and we wore it proud. Back in my day, you see, back in my day, when everything meant something. Back in my day, when rock was young, me and Susie had so much fun. We didn't need all the modern technology. We were just holding hands and skipping stones. I had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own, which means they were out there necking, they were kissing, they were loving, you know. It's just fun, right? So it starts off by setting up this concept of back in the day, things were better. I think that is so cool. And the very first line is, I remember when rock was young. But he's not using the oldest progression that he's talking about, because that would go from the G to the E minor. It would go from the 1 to the minor 6. But he's not doing that. He's going from the 1 to the minor 3rd. Now, today, Gen Z, that name everything something different, skibbity toilet, right? Or whatever they got, they would rename this, and they would call this like the maybe the Japanese progression or the modern pop progression or something like that. But it's not. It's just this more progressive progression from the 60s, right? It's a pop song, not a rock song. So it uses a pop progression, not a rock progression. And we want to hear that because by that time, that oldies chord progression, the 1 minor 6 4 5, even today, we hear it everywhere, so you recognize it when you hear it, so it's kind of played out. Not that it is, but it's kind of thumbing his nose at it. So, what was he doing? He's old gold Chevy and a place of my own. But the greatest thing I ever got, I can't remember the words right now, but the greatest thing I ever got was doing a thing called the Crocodile Rock. While other kids were rocking around the clock, we were rocking and a bopping to the Crocodile Rock. Well, the greatest thing I ever got was doing a thing called the Crocodile Rock. What is the Crocodile Rock? We'll talk about that in a second. Then it's while the other kids were rocking around the clock. You see, that goes straight back to Elvis and his style of rock and roll that came out of the blues and his style of kind of dancing. But it was all, you know, it was revolutionary dancing, but it wasn't crocodile rocking, which was something else. So what was Crocodile Rock? Well, I think what Elton's talking about here is while you guys are over there dancing to what you think is music, you think you're partying, we're really dancing. We're doing the scandalous. We're doing the Crocodile Rock. We're doing the bump and grind. We're close. We're twerking, if there was such a thing back then. So, because even at the time, while the other kids were doing the rock around the clock, you know, Elvis Presley, all those people, there was still segregation and things going on at those times. So it was a blending and a fusion of music. There was a lot going on, and women were fainting just by watching him shake his hips. So the song, being written from the perspective of looking back on those times, is saying, hey, you hold my beer. Watch what we're going to do. And that was kind of crazy, you know. So let's see, where are we? Well, I remember when a rock was young. Me and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and skipping stones. I had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own, and the crazy thing I ever got was doing a thing called the Crocodile Rock. Other kids were rocking round the clock. We were hopping and a bopping to the Crocodile Rock. Well, crocodile rocking is something shocking when your feet just can't stand still. I had the best time of my life, but I guess I never will. So then when we get into that, we're now going to that E minor. Well, crocodile rocking was something Shocking. What was it? What was that Crocodile Rock? It was something shocking, but we're on the E minor. Now that E minor brings in this minor 6 for the first time in the song. Cause I guess I never will. Crocodile rocking with something shocking when your feet just can't stand still. This is the A7, right? So we're on the second chord, which would be A minor, but we're making it a 7. So instead of a minor 7, it's a major 7 right there. Well, it's not really major 7, it's A7. And then we go to D7, which is our 5th chord. So we've got, in this instance, instead of the 1, 6, 3, or 1, 6, 4, 5, we've got the 1, 2, or 1 minor 6, 2, 5, but that 2, 5 are both 7th chords. And you can do that with, and that's like a 2, 5, 1 jazz progression. That's a complete jazz thing, right? So, wow, Elton's really flipping the script on everything here. This 2, 5, 1 is a jazz progression, and it's, of course, done on 7th chord. So it's, well, crocodile rocking with something shocking when your feet just can't stand still. I never had so much fun in my life, and I guess I never will. Now we walk down chromatically. So we've learned about what crocodile rocking is. It's a type of dancing that's not just the dancing that Elvis Presley is doing and all the girls that are fainting are doing. It's something different. Well, what is it? Well, here it is. Now, and we go back to that walk down from the 6, or excuse me, from the 1 to the minor 6, but we don't make it minor, we make it major. My little kitty cat's right here. So we make it major. Well, where was it? Where was it? Well, I'll just start back. I lost my brain for a minute. And your feet just can't stand still. I had the best time of my life, but I guess I never will. Oh, Lord and Mama, those Friday nights when Susie wore her dresses tight. Alright, I will crocodile rock, and it was alright. Okay, so I messed that last verse up a little bit because I've lost my mind being 2:15 already, but that's okay. You get my point. So we walk down from this one chord, which is the G, and we're down here to the E. Now that's a regular E chord, and then from there we go to our A7, back to our D7, and then we're on this F, C, F, C, F, C, G. Well, there's something funny that's happening here. Where do we get that F, C, F, C? Because there's no F in the key of G. There's F sharp diminished. There's an F sharp, and the chord is F sharp diminished. So where's the F from? Well, this is where she's right here. She was going to knock over my water if I'm not careful. You get out of here, silly. Where does that F come from? Well, F is from the key of C, where we've now jumped over to that key of C. That's where that parallel major comes in. And instead of using the 5, usually you use that dominant note or dominant chord to get the parallel. But this time we're doing it from the 4. So G, A, B, C. Okay, so that C comes from there, and we're on the D, D7. D7 is the 7, well, D diminished 7, or D diminished is the diminished chord in the key of C, but D7 is close enough tonally that it's kind of giving us this push to C, F, C, F, C, F, C, G. And that F, C in the key of C, C, D, E, F, so it's going 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4. Well, G is the 5th chord of C. So it's 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 5. So we've got some resolution. It's a lot of hit right there. So it's right? But that's when it jumps back into the key of G, because G is also the 1 chord of G. And we took this little detour all around when we were talking about crocodile rocking, makes your feet won't stand still, best time of my life, but I guess I never will. This whole little descend from the chromatic walk down where we get that E. Well, where do we get E from? C, D, E. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So we get that E, even though I do agree that it's not an E minor like you would find. It's in the key of C. It is an E major. And that E right there is putting us back to that A7, D7, which takes us to the F, C, F, C. So it's that detour into that parallel major key of C for a minute. Now, if we're talking about all this stuff and you're saying, why is this important? Well, I'm getting ready to share with you. All of this is what gives the song, in my opinion, its characteristic motion forwards. It's not just the strumming. It's got a solid groove, but it's also that our ears want to hear the song resolve, and it hasn't resolved yet. Well, it has. Each little 4-bar segment has resolved back to the one chord, except for that little detour we took for the parallel major, which went to the G, which was the 5 of C, but also the 1 of G. So it did both of those. So it really came back and hit it strong right before we go into the chorus. The whole song is about nostalgia. It's about remembering back in the day. And so far, Elton John has been very playful with the way he wrote it. He hasn't given you the oldies chord progression that you want to hear so bad. Isn't that crazy? Well, he's about to do it with la, 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 la. There's our 1 minor 6. Then to 4, we finally get to hear it, to 5. And there's something else I think that's happening here. There's a written, unwritten rule in music, especially back in the day. I hear it even today when I'm talking to people. But if you can't sing it, then don't say it. So if you have to add la 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 la, then you're just wasting the listener's time. You should fill that with something meaningful in the words. Like you know, if you know, you know, right? So if you haven't ever heard that, ignore it, right? Because of course this makes sense in the song about nostalgia. It's pulling all the tropes. And the first one is, well, the whoom-bop, all the a cappella style, all the quartet style singing, all the la-la-las and whatever else that are out there that you can think of. Here it is. But not just like that. Other tropes like Del Shannon's, I don't know if I can do it right now. I'm not hitting it exactly right, but there's that bum dun 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 bum dun 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 dun. So the guitarist in the background is going dun 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 dun. The minute that we switch to the rock, the oldies progression, boom, he just hits it. So all of these tropes are hitting. You've got the la 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 la. You got the dum dun dun dum dun dun. You got the bass player just playing simpler octave arpeggios on the bass, which is standard for oldies stuff. And then you've got the chord progression, the 1 minor 6 4 5. So when you put it all together, it's a song that's an anthem about yesterday through rose-tinted glasses. And it's kind of making you wait. I think it's lyrically funny in the concept that it's also interval funny. It doesn't give you what you want right away, and because of it, it is so iconic. I remember when the rock was young, Mommy and Susie had so much fun, holding hands and tipping stones. I had an old gold Chevy and a place of my own, and the greatest gift I ever got was doing a thing called the Crocodile Rock. Thing called the Crocodile Rock. When other kids were rocking round the clock, we were hopping and a-bopping to the Crocodile Rock. Well, Crocodile Rocking is something shocking when your feet just won't stand still. I had the best time of my life, but I guess I never will. Oh Lord and Mama on them Friday nights when Susie wore her dress just right, we were all Crocodile Rocking was out of sight. La 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 la. There we go. I hope you enjoyed this today. Lots of fun sharing that with you. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remind you, I'll catch you on the flip side. Bye for now.